thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today and taking this hour out of your day. I know how busy everyone is. I just want to formally welcome you to our Research Lounge series, and today we'll be talking about our Health Technology Research Centre in Rehabilitation. My name is Kate Frost. My official title is the Head of Patient and Public Involvement and Engagement in Research and Innovation at Nottingham University Hospitals. I'm also here with my colleague Elizabeth Tibbett, and we both support, from a patient and public involvement perspective, the HRC in rehab, which is what we're here to tell you all about today. We've got some fantastic presenters with us today. So we're joined by Professor Dan Clark, who is our co-director for the HealthTech Centre in Rehabilitation, and also two of our fantastic experts by experience, Derek Stewart, if you'd like to give us a wave. Yay, there we are. And Chioma Kashmir. Hello, Chioma. And they're both going to be talking to us today as well and sharing their experiences of rehabilitation and technology. Before we get started, just a bit of housekeeping. So I have mentioned that we're going to record the session today, and that is predominantly so we can share this with people who are unable to join us.
Just the sound.
Oh, sorry about that. Who are unable to join us, that will be edited. So what we want to ensure is that everyone feels comfortable to ask questions. So it'll be edited to ensure that what we put on our YouTube channel is just the presentations for information sharing. So just to let people know, and that we want a comfortable and safe environment for that question and answer session. If you'd like to enable the subtitles, so just a transcript, if you click on the three dots on the top banner that says more, you will then see a language and speech option, and you'll have the option to turn on live captions, and then you can adjust the size of those as well on your own screen. We do ask that people try and mute themselves during the presenters, and that is just so we don't get any background noise. I will note though, if you would like to ask questions, then just remember to take yourself off mute. I mean, I'm guaranteed to do it throughout today, so don't worry too much. We will prompt you if you haven't taken yourself off mute, but that is just the little microphone button again on the top of the banner for you. I'll shortly be introducing our first speaker, but just to let you know again that our mantra for these sessions is no question is a silly question. We're really here today to encourage questions and discussions. So please do use the Q&A that's enabled to write any questions you have. Just as a matter of trying to be a bit efficient in time, we're going to take all of the questions at the end of our speakers, and that will enable all of our speakers to contribute to answering as well. But please do put your questions in the Q&A as we go along.
Unfortunately, due to staff sickness, we are currently unable to take your call.
Oh
Please
dear.
email your inquiry to inquiries at...
I think someone might be on hold for something. No worries. Right. So without further ado, I will introduce our first speaker, which is Elizabeth Tibbett. She is our Patient and Public Involvement and Engagement Manager, again in Research and Innovation at Nottingham University Hospitals, but also supports predominantly our patient and public involvement for the Health Technology Research Centre in Rehabilitation. So I'll stop sharing and over to you, Liz.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Kate. I'm just going to change my background for the purposes of our my presentation. Just bear with me a second. I put a poll in the chat as well, which we're interested in people having a look at. It's just asking you, before we start presenting to you today, about how aware you are maybe of the benefits of technology in healthcare rehabilitation. It's anonymous, and we'll ask the same question at the end, just to see if you feel like today's been beneficial. I'm not going to share any slides. I've got a background here of some of our wonderful patient contributors. who have been in for a photo shoot looking at some of the technologies that are available to patients in healthcare and in research. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. We in the patient and public involvement and engagement team are interested in people. We want to ensure that all people, regardless of their background, education or experiences, are listened to in health research. This is because it is well known that when people are asked about their health and are given opportunities to support priority setting, then standards improve. If someone is involved in shaping the support that they want to receive, they will have better outcomes and better quality of life. The NHS calls this personalised care. We know that health inequalities across the NHS and in health research are widening, and the reasons for this are complex. We in the Health Technology Research Centre in Rehabilitation, we're at the start of our journey, and we want to ensure that people from birth right through to old age, because we cover the whole life course, and who are directly affected by a disease, injury, disability or a traumatic event, are asked about the ways in which their quality of life might be impacted by new innovations and technologies. We want those people to have a voice so that we can maximise patient benefit for as many patients as possible. And this is because we know that the most successful ideas only work when they meet the specific needs of the patients for whom they are intended. This leads to higher satisfaction, better quality of life, quicker recovery, and lots of wider benefits to society at large. So if you know if you would like to be involved with our research, then please reach out to us. We're particularly interested in hearing from people who might not have been heard before, who are underserved or maybe marginalised. We're passionate about driving improvements and hearing the opinions and ideas of anyone who would like to help us shape the future of rehabilitation technologies as we go striding into the future and everything gathers pace. So please do join in today. We welcome any comments or suggestions, and thank you for being here.
Yay. Thank you so much, Liz. That's a great introduction, and again, like, just emphasizes our methodology for involvement in research, and that inclusive. So we're hoping by the end of this everyone will want to get involved. If you aren't already, that's our spin. So thanks so much, Liz. So we'll move on to our second presenter now, our second speaker, which is Professor Dan Clark, and he is one of our co-directors of our Health Technology Research Centre in Rehabilitation. And Dan is going to give you a real overview of what the centre is. So hopefully, if you're not aware, you will be by the end of this. So Dan, is it okay if I hand over to you, and if you just let me know, next slide, please, we'll do that double act, if that's okay.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kate, and thank you, Liz, for warming us up and that brilliant introduction to the session today. I just can't tell you how excited I am to be able to spend a wee bit of time giving you just a brief overview of what the NIHR, that's the National Institute for Health and Social Care Research, the NIHR HealthTech Research Centre for Rehabilitation is all about. As Kate said right at the start, that's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? So we tend to call it the Rehab HRC for short, the Rehab HRC. Now, the NIHR is the government's main funding route for all of healthcare research. And they're funding a number of these health tech research centres, HRCs, up and down the country. And these are the main vehicle for the government to fund research into new technologies for health and social care. Now, there are 14 of these centres across the country, and here in Nottingham, we're hosting one specifically supporting the development of new technologies for rehabilitation. So why rehabilitation? If I can go next slide, please, Kate. So at some point in our lives, 1 in 3 of us will suffer potentially life-changing injury, trauma, illness that requires some form of rehabilitation. 1 in 3 of us. So, look around the room, look around your friends, look around your family. That could be you, that could be your partner, that could be your parents, that could be your children. We're almost victims of our own success in modern healthcare, has become so good at rescuing us from crises, putting us back together after a car crash, removing that malignant tumour, stabilising us post-heart attack. And that's great, isn't it? That's great news, brilliant news. But the next stage of the journey, from immediately post-crisis back to normal life, this stage has seen less advancement until now. Of course, saving us from these crises is hugely important, and long may they be advances in this area. But we believe that next stage of the journey, that rehabilitation stage of the journey, deserves similar advances. No one should be in pain or have poor mobility or struggle with communication a moment longer than needs be. And we believe that technology, new specialist rehabilitation technology, can play a huge part in improving lives and quickening the return back to normal life, back to attending school and playing with friends, back to work and career and contributing to society, back to cooking and knitting and gardening and walking the dog, or whatever constitutes normal life for you. But technology for rehabilitation, pretty much like rehabilitation itself, has historically been underrepresented. Well, until now, because now we have a real chance to bring rehabilitation and technology for rehabilitation in particular right into the limelight. Next slide, please. So here at the NIHR HealthTech Research Center, the Rehab HRC for short, we're all about technology for rehabilitation. We're about generating new ideas for new technology, understanding and refining those ideas, selecting those ideas most promising, those which will have the biggest impact, and supporting the development of those technologies from inception all the way through to impact. And here on this slide, these are our high-level aims. And you can see that we are, of course, focused around patients and patient benefit. But we're also looking at engaging with industry. We're looking at finding those technologies which are the most promising, going to have the most benefit. We want to widen participation in research, particularly research around new technologies, of course, and we want to support personal, community, and social benefits. Next slide, please. So that's a lot of words. That's a lot of words. But in short, what we're trying to do here is we're aiming to deliver. This is not a trivial ask, is it? But we're aiming to deliver significant improvements in health and well-being through the application of technology. Now, we don't care particularly what type of technology it is. If it improves people's health and well-being, then we are here to help. And we don't really care what clinical condition it's there to support. Don't care where it's used, what health and social care background it is. If it delivers benefit for people, then we're here to help. Next slide, please. So we've spoken a lot about rehab. Obviously, we're the HealthTech Research Center for Rehabilitation. So that's what we're focused on. Now, what do we mean by rehab? And we could get into quite a debate about this. People have in the past got into quite a lot of debates about specifically what the definition of rehabilitation is. People braver than me and far cleverer than me have tried to define it. But we feel we've adopted here a pretty universally accepted definition, if a little bit broad, of what rehab is for the purposes of our HRC. Essentially then, we're interested in technology that helps people get better faster, helps people recover from their illness, their injury, their trauma, helps people live better lives, more independent lives. So we're after and interested in technologies that can do that. Of course, some people might come to us with technologies which are technically outside of that remit, of that scope. But that doesn't matter because, as I said right at the start, there are 13 other HRCs also looking at helping to support technologies. So if you've got a great idea for technologies, even if it doesn't fit our remit, please still come and talk to us about it, because if we can't help you with it, we're pretty sure we know somebody who can. Next slide, please. So when we're talking about helping people with their technologies, helping develop technologies, what do we mean? What can the Rehab HRC do to help? Well, actually, taking an idea for a new technology, from that very initial idea, that first thought, to a technology that can actually be adopted by the NHS or social care and actually deployed and used with real people in a health and social care setting, to be quite blunt, that's quite a challenging thing to do. Many brilliant ideas come along that never get through to fruition, never get adopted, never get used by patients. Not because the idea wasn't a great idea, but because the challenge of going from an idea through to something that can be adopted in health and social care is so challenging. Well, fear not, because we here at the HRC have a whole host of experts who are brilliant at doing just that. So if you've got an idea, if you've got a concept for a new technology, and are struggling or have no idea how to take it through that difficult adoption pathway, well, that is what we're here for. Anything from getting funding, from writing grant applications, from understanding the value proposition, health economics, market assessment, getting access to patients, getting testing, anything along that pathway, that's what we're here at the Rehab HRC to support. Next slide, please, Kate. So I've said an awful lot of words there about technology and pathways and moving things forwards, and it might all seem a wee bit abstract. So I thought I might try and just illustrate the sorts of things that we either have been doing or are intending to do as we move forward with this 5-year program. So here's just a few examples, and I'll very briefly run through them for you. Now, I'm probably showing my age here, but some of you might recognize the picture in the top left-hand corner of the screen now, because this is Sigourney Weaver, taken from the films Aliens 2 or 3, whichever one it is. And she's using this amazing robotic support device here to help move huge packing cases somewhere out in deep space. I don't know where. Well, the idea of using robots to support and assist mobility can be taken from this sci-fi image here, but actually used to help people in rehabilitation settings. And we've got a couple of projects on our books at the moment, one for adults and one for children, with what we call exoskeletons, these external robotic devices that help people move. Next slide, please. So that's one way that we can help people with another example then is kind of a similar sort of vein, I guess, but this new technology is now a wheelchair that converts to a walking aid. And there's huge potential in this space because people post-trauma might not be able to walk at all, and getting them remobilized, getting them walking again is for some people quite a challenging path. This device enables them to walk for a bit, sit for a bit, and it's been shown to improve people's mobility and really get people moving very much more quickly than standard techniques. And we're working with a company to develop this technology and get it into a form that can be utilized by health and social care settings in the UK. Next, please. Moving smartly on to something completely different. It's a similar way to monitor and manage people's rehabilitation. This one comes from the world of elite sports. There are smart fabrics available now on the market, and you see them a lot in elite sports. And the fabric itself that they make into the materials for clothes, for shirts and tracksuits, can actually sense body function. So it can measure heat or temperature or breathing rate or heart rate or your amount of movement. It's a little bit like, I guess, a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, but built into actual fabric. And they're used a lot in elite sport. You might have seen it on footballers or rugby players, utilizing them to manage their performance. Well, we're working with a company, a local company as it turns out, who make these fabrics for elite sports. But they're looking at ways of converting that technology, readopting that technology for her rehabilitation needs to help people with their recovery, able to track their recovery and their improvement as they go through rehabilitation. Next slide, please. Now, in my best Blue Peter fashion, here's one we made earlier. So you'll perhaps be aware of the condition of scoliosis, the curvature of the spine, and one of the treatment regimes, not always adopted, but in many cases, one of the treatment regimes adopted is a type of traction, which basically you try and stretch the spine, which is great, and it's been lot of evidence to over a long period of time suggests that for some conditions that sometimes this works really well. But for children in particular, the idea of being immobile on a bed with traction to stretch, to help stretch and take the pressure off the spine, children are not too keen on lying in bed for long periods of time. They like to be up and about and mobile. And so this was a device that we made specifically for children with scoliosis to enable them to have traction, but also to move around. So that's another example of where we've used technology to support people's rehabilitation. And then my final example for today, and I could do hours of talking about this. Next slide, please, Kate. Is just to show you the breadth and range of sorts of things that we might get involved with. Is Nordic walking. And Nordic walking was originally designed as a way for cross-country skiers to train when there was no ski. It's all well and good trying to be a cross-country skier, but if there's no ski, you can't practice. So somebody invented Nordic walking as a way of training cross-country skiers without any snow, and it's long been recognised that this is actually a very effective form of exercise, and people Nordic walk for fun and for exercise. But we're working with the British Nordic walking team to see whether or not there is evidence, and we can demonstrate that there is evidence that using this exercise, using Nordic walking, actually speeds up the recovery of certain groups of patients. Particularly at the moment, we're looking at stroke patients, but this may well apply to lots of other people going through rehabilitation. So that was just a real run-through snapshot of some of the ideas and the technologies that we've been involved with, and that we are expecting to be involved with already. But we've got a team of people at the Rehab HRC who know how to support technologies like that, know how to help technologies like that get tested, get evaluated, get approval, get adopted. But we recognise that any of these new technologies, they always start with an idea. That idea might come from industry, it often does. It might come from an academic, somebody in university. It might come from somebody working in health or social care. But from our experience, the best ideas very often come from people with real experience of the condition, are experts by experience. And that, of course, means you. So the Rehab HRC, we're all about, we've created this innovation funnel, we call it, this way of gathering and capturing ideas from wherever they come from. But we are very interested in, really interested in hearing about ideas that come from the community, come from first-hand experience. And so we're very keen to be out and about and engaging with communities to genuinely co-generate ideas for new technologies. Next slide, please, Kate. Now, I'm not going to spend time on this, but we have a well-established, well-thought-through, robust process in place for taking these ideas and running them through into projects and developments and testing and all those things that we need to do to get them supported and developed and adopted into health and social care. And I mentioned we've got a whole team of people. Next slide, please. And we do. We have an absolute stellar team of people behind us. We have research experts, clinical experts, project managers, health economists, human factors experts, a whole gamut of skills and experience to support those technologies. But I'll leave you by going back to the next slide, please, Kate. Go back to the concept that everything starts with an idea. So we've got all the skills, all the resources, all the necessary tools to support technologies on their development, but we need ideas. And as I said, some will come from industry, some will come from academics, some will come from health service. But a lot we hope will come from our experts by experience. And as I said, that's you. So I hope that's given you a flavour for the sorts of things that we're going to be covering in the Rehab HRC, and we very much look forward to your involvement in these projects going forwards. Kate, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Dan. That was absolutely excellent. And I really hope that has kind of started to open people's eyes to some of the already existing technologies, but then hopefully to inspire people that really it is fundamentally important that these ideas and innovations are coming from those with the lived experience. Thank you again, Dan. So what we're going to do is take questions at the end of our speaker sessions, and I just want to take a moment to continue to encourage questions, everyone. Again, if you're thinking it, I probably am. No question is a silly question. And even if it's just a comment for discussion, that is also absolutely fine. This is what we want out of an event such as this. And I can see we have had a few questions, so thank you to those who have already posted them in the Q&A. But yeah, please just remember anything you'd like to share, please do. So we're going to move on to our next speaker now. Which is Derek Stewart, OBE, one of our fantastic experts by experience who supports the HRC and rehabilitation. And what I'll do is stop sharing my screen so you can come forward, Derek, and share some of your experiences around rehabilitation and technology, if that's okay. So I'll stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Kate. And thank you, Dan. That was brilliant. It's really coming together. My name is Derek Stewart. I had throat cancer 30 years ago. And I know we're looking to the future, but I want to look to the past just briefly. I'm alive today because the NHS in Nottingham cured my cancer. But at the time, although they were brilliant in curing me, there was no sense of rehabilitation. My voice was very weak, very hoarse, more than it is today. And I struggled to talk and to breathe properly. And I was at a meeting with other patients because we learn from each other more than sometimes from their consultations. And somebody says, there's a microphone you can get, Derek, that plugs on, you can wear it on your head and you can fit it onto your belt. And I thought, that's brilliant, right? Because what it allowed me to do was to go and talk, give talks in places without it damaging my voice too much. One of the reasons we bring to the table is we have knowledge of using these things. We have insights about how practical they are. So if you look, you'll see that the back of it is covered in gaffer tape because it's not very robust. But it's 30-year-old, so it's not bad. But these days I might want this to be Bluetooth. And I might want the speaker to be separate that goes on my shirt rather than my voice coming out my waist. We see things technical in a very different way. So fast forward 30 years. I had a mini stroke about 18 months ago. And I was introduced to a new sort of type of tech. It is rehab because it's keeping me alive and letting me live. But the first thing was they said, would you wear an ECG? Fine, piece of kit on my belt, there's stickers, and you go, fine, get on with your life for a couple of days. And then I went back and they did another one. They said, we're not really getting the detail we need. We'd like to fit you with an invasive, an implant. So that's a little battery that sits just in my chest and reads. So when they take people here, there's a bit that says, whoa, wait a minute. I can accept the bits on the outside, but being on the inside changes things. It's using technology to gather data. And the thing I wasn't expecting was somebody phoned me up, a nurse phoned me up, said, Mr. Stewart, your heart stopped last night. And you go, what? My wife had seen a difference. I'd moved differently. But it would have been nice to have been prepared for that. Now, Medtronic are brilliant. They've obviously talked to patients. That's the company who makes the monitor. They've obviously, because they give you an app on your phone. And obviously, when we as patients were asked to fill in, oh, I've had a dizzy moment, I've not been very well. There's a warning that says, should you not be going to hospital? Which is lovely. It's because patients have obviously said, I was so busy filling in the app that I didn't think of the consequences. These are the things that we bring to the table. So, in terms of doing patient and public involvement, my advice to the technical people here, and even to the public partners, don't read up sometimes about PPI. You're going to lose the will to live. Right? It's very, very simple. Start with a purpose. So for me as a patient, I'm curious, I'm nosy, I'm interested. I want to find out what you're doing. So if you welcome me in, I learn things that I didn't know before. For the technical people, don't just start to do patient public involvement, because that's where you've got Kate and Liz there. They'll help you with that to get through something. So think about it as conversations. Your first thing you might want to think, especially if you're the tech person, what's your opinion of this piece of tech? Now be prepared. We might tell you it's the best things since sliced bread, but we may also tell you, what the bloody hell are you spending all that money on that when you could be doing this for? I'm not saying stop, because if you still think it's the right thing to do, go ahead and do it. But at least when you're looking for funding, you've said patients disagreed with it, but actually here's why I think it's still important. So that first thing is to get people's opinions. The second one I've touched on already, insights. We live with a condition. We might say, do you know what, I'd rather the switch was on this side. I'd rather this was less fancy and more plain. So we see things that can give you. You might, thirdly, want your advice. Take people and the researchers. You're very brilliant at what you do. You're outstanding. But sometimes you look at it in such detail, you lose that capacity to talk to real people. So you might be explaining something in the packaging or in the materials that actually just jars with us as patients. So actually getting that right and getting that right. And then the last one I'll choose, there are more, is motivation. I think for anybody in lab-based research, in tech, it's motivating to meet somebody who might benefit with this. It gives you more of a reason to go back to your table. But it's motivating for us as patients, because quite simply, we're all guilty of seeing a headline in a certain newspaper saying, new cure, new treatment, new piece of tech. And then when we read down, it says, being worked on mice, right? Being worked on in a laboratory. I don't think any of us, or I certainly didn't, realise the failures, the difficulty of getting research grants and funding, the challenges of, costs in the NHS and in academia. I didn't realise those realities of what you go through. And that's motivating to me to understand what you go through. So I hope I've touched on a whole lot of things that maybe make a difference to what we're going to try to do. I think this is a brilliant team, being brilliantly led by Dan and his senior management group, and they're genuine in that sense of, so if you go on the website, there's somewhere you can drop your ideas. Let's make it difficult for them. Let's give them so many ideas that they're really challenged to go and ask for more money. Okay, thanks very much.
Lovely. I feel that. Thank you so much, Derek. I don't really need to say much following that. Fantastic plug. And if you haven't seen it already, if you go in the Q&A, our website Derek has posted that in there. So again, encouraging you to have a look. And this is what we want to do: nurture new innovations from people who are living with rehabilitation needs. And also to reiterate, as I'd like to quote from another researcher who presented on behalf of us, patient involvement can seem a bit intimidating at the beginning, but actually it turns out it's really kind of fun. So from both perspectives, it could also be really enjoyable for those looking to get involved as well. And that's what we hope to foster here for the HRC and rehabilitation. Thank you so much again, Derek. We've had a few other questions, but what we'll do is, as I've mentioned, is field them during the panel at the end. So what I'd like to do now is introduce our next speaker. So we have with us Chioma Casimir, who is going to do a bit of a Q&A with Liz, and who is one of our another one of our fantastic experts by experience. So I'll let them introduce, but I just wanted to thank you again, Chioma, for being here today with us. So I'll stop sharing and hand over to Liz and Chioma, if that's okay. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Derek. That was really inspiring to listen to. And I really liked the fact that you touched on some of the barriers to technology in general that a lot of people face, that we all face in our own different ways. We move now to Chioma. Yes, Chioma, thank you for joining us today. And I think Chioma is going to answer one of the questions that's already in the Q&A, which has come from Lynn, who asks, does age come into giving rehabilitation? And I know that, Chioma, you're going to talk about a little bit of your maternity journey and some rehabilitation after that. So do you want to start by giving us a little bit of background to your story?
Hi everyone. So I'll always say I'm one of the people that had the best experience in maternity at Queen's Hospital. And yeah, postnatal, that's a form of rehabilitation. I had the best time with them. So during my recovery there, it was one of my best experience. The only time I was like, when they said I should stay back and get better before I go, I was like, I've stayed there. This is not my home. I need to go back. So I had the best experience in the maternity department of Queen's Hospital. Yeah. So that's the introduction, or maybe I should go deeper into everything.
No, that's absolutely fine. That's brilliant. Thank you, Chioma. And I think you just mentioning there that for you, it was very important that you were able to go home and continue your recovery at home. I know that you had an interaction in the hospital before you left with a nurse from the same background as you, and that made a huge difference. And I know we're going to touch on. Go on, yeah. So you explain that for us.
Yeah, my experience there, I was giving, every day they give me different nurses, they are on shifts and all that. And I love the fact that it was really inclusive. Every, like, different types of people, I had different backgrounds of nurses and midwives that came, and it really was enjoyable to me. At least, one of the doctors, a white woman that did the epidural, that was always checking on me to know how I'm feeling, how it's wearing off, and how I'm recovering. She was very, 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 very good. Like, she listened to me when I told them, see, I know my body. I think I'm short in blood. I need some iron. They listen to me, even if they know they are experts and all that. She said, are you sure this will make you better? I said, yes. Once I get this iron, I'll get better. I know myself. She said, okay. And they gave it to me, and my recovery was better. So on another shift, I had an African nurse that was on shift that day taking care of me. So because this person is from the same background with me, I know she will understand where some things I would tell her. So I was like, in our place, when a woman gives birth, they give the woman something hot for quick recovery? She said yes. I told her I've been here, and I think because I've been taking cold food and all that, I'm not really getting it. So in to help my recovery, I think I need something hot. And she was like, I know that. So every morning she made sure that they get me something hot. They made sure they'll be like, okay, um, do you still need hot water? Do you still need hot water? Do you need hot food and all that? Your husband can get it for you and all that. I said yes. And I took all this thing. I was so happy they listened to me. And this why I always advocate for inclusion in the NHS, which is part of NHS, because everybody there, they were like, yeah, I got you. That was why I always tell people that my experience in Queen's Hospital was one of the best. I had the best experience. The postnatal was best, though I spent um like 2 weeks plus there. I enjoyed every time I spent there. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chioma. And I think you've really, really perfectly highlighted how that kind of personalised approach to rehabilitation and actually listening to a patient's needs is the most important and fundamental thing. And that's exactly what we are hoping to achieve in the Rehab HRC. Could you
Yeah.
maybe just a last question for you? You've said throughout that you had good people taking care of me. That really has stuck in my mind. I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about why inclusion matters in healthcare and in health research, in order, for the best outcomes to be achieved for every person.
Yeah, inclusion is very crucial in health, because it's not a one size approach. Different ethnicity backgrounds and experience influence how people recovered. Like I said before, this person was there, that person was there, and based on different backgrounds and knowing different things which this person doesn't know, it helped when I spoke to this person. They understand me. I spoke to this person in this particular field. She understood me, and everything was. It helped my recovery a lot. Because if there was that if it was streamlined like a one size approach, maybe I might not be able to speak my mind, or maybe I might not be able to express everything that I want to, because I'll be like, this person might not understand me. But because there were changes, there were different backgrounds, there were different people coming to me, I was able to like have an open mind, talk to them, and pour out my heart. So yeah, inclusion is very, very important. It reflects the needs of wider population. Yeah, like I've already said before. So my experience at Queens showed how cultural understanding can impact recovery. Yeah, I'm not trying to say this is better than this or this, but I'm just saying because this person knows about my culture, and she's there. She was able to understand me, and it helped me in my recovery. Had it been I didn't get someone that was able to understand some things I was saying, I might be able to speak up, but this person doesn't know this. There's nothing he or she can do, and it might be kind of delaying some aspect of things. But because that's people there, I have people there that understood what I'm saying and where I'm coming from. It's helped me a lot to get that recovery that I wanted. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chioma. And I'd just like to let everybody know that Chioma's got a beautiful 1-year-old son after this
Yeah.
experience.
And when I go home, I had also a good experience, because I was also being they made sure that I was fully recovered. I had some health visitors that came to the house to check my stitches. They were like, wow, it really was good, because I know when I was being opened up, because I had a CS. When they opened me up, I had cold. That's my first time of being open. That's my first surgery ever. So I know someone that is not too used to cold. I became poorly and all that, and that was why I had to spend much more time in the hospital, and that brought about me telling them I needed something hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Chioma. And I'm sure it will resonate with many people how important it is to have that personalized approach to make sure that we're involving people from all different backgrounds, different socioeconomic backgrounds, educational backgrounds, cultural backgrounds in our research, because
Yeah.
it fundamentally will make it better going forward. I think we're going to move on to the Q&A, and I know that you're going to be involved in that if there's any particular questions that you feel like answering, Chioma. So thank you again. It's been brilliant listening to you today.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Chioma. Really inspiring. And I just want to say we've had, both for Derek and Chioma, we've had some comments in the chat. Not forgetting yourself, Dan. Just equally as inspiring. We have had some fantastic comments, and congratulations as well, Chioma.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. We are moving on to the last part now, which I'm hoping you're all been eagerly awaiting, is your opportunity to ask all of our presenters here today questions, and I'm really happy that we have had a few in the chat. And just to reassure people, if you haven't got the Q&A option, please do post in the chat, but we also very much welcome people raising their hands with a little raise hand emoji on the top banner, and we'll invite you to come in and ask a question also. Just to as well reassure people that I'm aware we only have 10 minutes left and we do want to keep to time. So any questions we don't get to, if you'd either like to post them in the chat at the end, and we'll make sure that we answer those and circulate those to everyone who's in attendance. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen again, and we'll come to one of our first questions that we had in the Q&A. 1 second, here we are. So our first question was from Mary. And thank you for your question, Mary. If you would like to come in, please do. If you think you would be able to speak some of them, I think you speak better to them than I can. But our first question is, are we planning to collaborate with other NIHR centres around the country, such as the one in Exeter, that you're currently a public contributor of? Fantastic. And also, what about health research from home, such as using smartphones and wearable devices from the University of Manchester? So are we collaborating with other NIHR centres is the first question.
Is that for me? Am I jumping in first on that one, Kate?
Please do.
The answer is a very, very emphatic yes. I mentioned at the beginning of my talk, there are 14 of these centres. The one in Exeter, I believe, is focused on community, and that's very much in our space as well. So we anticipate doing quite a lot of work with the community. There's another one in Nottingham, which is called HealthTech. So they're mental health. They're right on our doorstep. We know them very well, and obviously mental health rehabilitation overlaps with ourselves. There's a children's one in Sheffield, and we're embedded in that children's one with some of the support services that we do. And the 14 come together. The NIHR, which is the main funding body, they gave approximately £3 million to each of the 14 to do their specific focus. Then they gave another £5 million for activities to create and sustain a network of those 14. So we are very much working together. There are some things that we're doing as a group where we can add value, and there's definitely, if a project comes to us and we think it's, would help to have the children's one or the community one or the brain injury one involved, of course we would do that. We're completely agnostic about who does the work and who does. We're not agnostic about the benefit. The benefit is to patients. So if we can get more benefits by collaborating, we absolutely will. It's part of our DNA to do that in this scheme. So collaboration, absolutely yes. And if you're at the Exeter community one, I'm sure that we'll at some point in the relatively near future there'll be joint projects between us. Yeah. Was there a second part to that question, Kate?
There was, and thank you, Mary. Lovely to see you. See your thumbs up. So I hope that
hi.
answered
Good.
your question. Yes, it was about
home-based and wearables. Wearables, absolutely. It was one of my examples, was wearables, and in fact we do a lot of work with wearables both at the NIHR Rehab HRC, but elsewhere in Nottingham we do a lot of work with wearables. So definitely, and we've been leading. Again, not specifically through the HRC, but some of the same staff who are associated with the HRC, we've been leading a lot of work essentially for the government on what the government referred to as a virtual ward project. It started during COVID, it's carrying on now, which is all about using mobile phones and other types of connectivity to look after people better in their own homes, get people home sooner out of hospitals, hopefully prevent them coming into hospitals in the first place. So yes, we're doing that as well, and that will certainly be a theme for rehab. It's something Jeremy said about she wanted to get home. Well, almost all patients want to get home out of a hospital as soon as they possibly can, and technology that enables them to do that and still supports their recovery, their rehabilitation, is obviously going to be high up on our agenda. And just a tiny bit extra on that, over and above what we do there, there's a relatively new discipline in engineering. So I'm a clinical engineer by background, so spent the last 40 years of my life working on healthcare technology in a healthcare technology in a healthcare setting. Relatively new field of work that I'm starting to get and support other people in is called frugal engineering, and frugal engineering is using low-tech solutions. It was specifically designed piece of work that I was involved with the World Health Organization for low incomes settings, low resource settings around the world. But actually, frugal engineering and using low-tech solutions has a place even in modern, very expensive healthcare systems. So that fits into this remote diagnostics, this remote therapies, this remote monitoring. So yes, in the short, no, in the long answer, but I should have just said, yeah, we are.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, and thank you so much for your questions, Mary. The next question on our Q&A is from Lynn, who has asked, does age come into giving rehabilitation? Does it come into giving rehabilitation? Which, Lynn, I'm not sure if you'd like to expand on that, but we can try and answer that best we can with the information. It may have been answered in that we cover the whole life course, so we will be having bespoke involvement with our aging population, and that will obviously lead to bespoke needs for rehabilitation. But Dan or Derek, is anything you want to add to that?
I'll just chip in really briefly. So we deliberately set out when we designed the Rehab HRC that we wouldn't get into clinical silos. So we haven't got a stroke theme and we haven't got a trauma theme. But what we have got is as Kate was just saying there, we've got a whole life course approach, and we do have themes based on stage of life. So we have babies, infants, children, young people theme. We have a working age adult theme, and we have a older people theme, and we have a big them up as much as I can, because it is just such a privilege to be working with some of these people. We have some stellar clinicians and academics working in that, world-leading researchers, and our older age group is led by Pinta Sahata, who is an absolute world renowned researcher in supporting the needs of older people. So I'm not sure quite where your question was pointing us towards, but we are really keen to be fully encompassed of rehabilitation needs wherever they are, whether they're very young children or whether they're older people, and everything in between.
Thank you, Daniel. I just tried to expand the question really, because I know that some operations are not given to people of a certain age. And I was thinking, well, if that person had an emergency operation, would you still be able to commit to rehab?
Yes. Absolutely, definitely.
Good. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks so much, Lynn, for your question. That's fantastic. So next question, which is probably a bit of a hot topic generally. It's from Mary.
It's from me again.
It's a really good question, though.
I consider every kind of technology.
That's it. So it's around, are we looking at adopting artificial intelligence and machine learning as part of the HRC and rehab, if any?
Is that for me again? Okay, I'm clearly in the hot seat. Thanks, Mary. It is a really, really good question. We are not specifically going out of our way to find projects that are based on AI and machine learning, but these days, almost everything has some element of data and informatics information associated with it. We're closely working with a group in Nottingham called ADAC. That's the Advanced Data Analytical Centre, and they're again a national centre for doing exactly this sort of thing, handling data, handling AI, putting in algorithms to support that. So as and when projects come along that are utilising machine learning or utilising AI, we've got a really strong support partner who can help us with those. So we're not specifically going looking for them, but if, like I said somewhere in my tone, say we don't care where the technology advances come from. If it happens to be an AI one, if it brings patient benefit, then we're here to support it, and we've got partners who can help us.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Sorry, Derek, go on.
I was giving a talk recently, and I thought, you know what, I'll test out AI. So I went on Google Gemini. I put in my talk, and then it came back with 3 options. And I'm skeptical, right? I'm a nice, healthy skeptic of these things. It gave me a couple of lines that I would never have thought of using. It wasn't perfect, but it gave a polish to certain bits and gave me a better starting line, right, than I would have thought up myself. So I know I didn't use it today, but I'm using it increasingly to just have a look. They mix up engagement with involvement, but actually as a test and a mirror up to what you're writing, it's quite good.
Amazing. Yeah, it's scary good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry we have come to the end of our session. Liz has just reposted the poll around is everyone aware of the benefits that rehabilitation technology can have? And I am happy to say, by the looks of it, we haven't had anyone who said it's all new to me. So hopefully we have done our duty in sharing the importance of rehabilitation technologies. And I would like to leave on a note that this is, as we've been referring to, really the start of our journey. And we want to be inclusive, want to welcome everyone to our community, and specifically for us, of course, empower and nurture people to generate and co-develop new innovations and technologies for rehabilitation. We'd love it for you to join our community, stay in touch with us, work with us on our projects, initiatives, share your ideas, and you can do that by joining our mailing list. If you scan the QR code here, you can sign up, and this is how we share our opportunities and our news for involvement, which will of course be inclusive of all the stuff we're doing around rehabilitation technologies. And we are absolutely available to anyone who would like to email us with any questions, comments. If you'd like to pick up a conversation outside of this event, please do not hesitate to email. This is our shared inbox at our Get Involved at nhs.net. Anything that anyone would like to add as a closing statement? Liz,
I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for coming along during your lunch break. We always appreciate that. I'm sure everybody's ravenous, is going to go off into the kitchen now. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us today.
And I would like to say,
go ahead, Gemma.
Okay, we need to raise awareness about the importance of research, this kind of research, especially in underrepresented communities, because many people don't participate because they don't know how research can benefit them, and or they feel it's not for them. Because I've had this experience working and with community research. Some people, if you don't really engage them, they don't know what you people are doing. And if you don't speak, like I always say about the cultural sensitive communication, like whenever I go to the community and we are talking about African communities, I would like to, bring them to what they already know. At least, a sickle cell affects people in Africa, West Africa, Malay, all these stuffs, it brush them all. They'll give you that trust and open mind to tell them what you want to tell them, and they will receive you very well. So I think we need more awareness in communities that are underrepresented. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chioma, for being an advocate for in raising awareness of this. I think we could do a whole other research lounge, and we should do on that. So thank you. Derek, did you want to have one last comment?
No.
Excellent. Well, I'll leave everyone just saying thank you again, everyone. We've gone 2 minutes over. I'm terribly sorry. That's my hosting. Please join us from our research lounges. Please stay with us. It's the start of the conversation. Let's keep the conversation going. And finally, we would be hugely appreciative if you could just spare a few minutes of your time to give us feedback on our event today. This all goes towards us continuously improving the events that we're doing. And I will share this via email for everyone, so don't feel like you have to grab this now before you dart off for lunches. I'm sure we've got rumbling tummies around off across the board. So just thank you again for joining us today. Huge thank you. We know it's a lot to take this time out, and we hope to speak to you again soon in the future. So thank you, and have a really lovely rest of the day. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.